The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Marcus Aurelius said that centuries ago, and folks, it still shakes the soul today. Let's be real. Every one of us has been handed pain as if it was some twisted inheritance. They didn't give you a manual on how to love yourself or how to set boundaries. No, my friends, they gave you insults, betrayals, silence, and told you to swallow it all as if that was your destiny. And many of us believed it. We thought pain was punishment. But let me tell you the truth. Pain is not punishment. It's preparation. Before I even dive deep into this message, do me one favor. Hit that like button, subscribe, and stay with me till the end. Because if you cut this off halfway, you'll miss the key that flips the whole script. And trust me, that key might just be the one you've been searching for. Now picture this, my friends. Imagine a seed buried under dirt. If you didn't know better, you'd think it was dead, suffocated, forgotten. But what's really happening? That pressure, that darkness, that weight of soil above, it's the environment for transformation. Without the dirt, there's no growth. Without the weight, there's no roots. And that's you. They thought they buried you. What they didn't realize is that they planted you. And here's where the lie breaks wide open. They told you pain makes you weak. They told you being broken means you're finished. But let's flip that. When a mirror shatters, it doesn't stop reflecting. It starts cutting. Broken glass is more dangerous than whole glass. Folks, your pain hasn't made you useless. It's made you sharp. Sharp enough to slice through lies, manipulation, and empty promises. Sharp enough to finally see clearly who belongs in your space and who doesn't. Some of you have been stuck believing survival is failure. You think just making it through the night, just breathing another day, means you're behind. No. Survival is rebellion. Survival is standing in defiance, saying, "I'm still here," when they were certain you wouldn't be. Every breath you take is proof that cruelty didn't conquer you. Every step forward is rebellion against the script they wrote for you. And let's laugh for a moment, because isn't it funny how the same people who mocked you now avoid looking you in the eye? It's almost like your silence grew teeth, and now it bites them harder than your words ever could. That's the thing about ghosts, my friends. They don't scream, they haunt. And that's exactly what regret does to those who tried to break you. So here's what I need you to know. You don't owe them a thing. Not your kindness, not your forgiveness, not your explanations. They thought breaking you would silence you, but in truth, it gave you a new voice. They thought it would cage you, but it handed you the key. Marcus Aurelius also said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. That means you decide now. You choose what pain becomes. You write the next chapter. And here's the motivational truth. Your pain was never your prison. It was your forge. And from that forge, you emerge sharper, stronger, unshakable. So say it with me right now. Type it in the comments so the world can see it. I am untouchable. Don't just listen, live it. Press that like button, hit subscribe, and stay with me, because together we're going to flip every script they ever handed you. Your pain is not the end, folks. It's the beginning. Number 1, the first language. They taught you pain. They tried to bury us. They didn't know we were seeds. That line has been whispered in many forms across time, and folks, it's more than just poetry, it's prophecy. From the start, before you even found your own voice, pain was handed to you as if it were your native tongue. Think about it. Before you learned how to say, "I love you," you were already learning how to say, "I'm sorry," for things that weren't your fault. Before you ever believed you were enough, you were taught you weren't. Pain was given to you like a script, inked in humiliation, betrayal, and silence. And what did you do? You recited it because you thought you had no choice. You swallowed the insults, you wore shame like a uniform, and you thought, this is who I am, this is how it has to be. But my friends, let me break the lie right here. Pain is not the end of you. Pain is the beginning. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The impediment to action advances action." What stands in the way becomes the way you see. The very thing they thought would cage you was in fact your key. The obstacle didn't stop you, it trained you. Pain sharpened you, carved you, revealed the truth hidden beneath the illusions they wrapped around you. Imagine a blacksmith in his workshop. The raw metal is bent, beaten, heated until it glows. To an untrained eye, it looks like destruction, like the metal is being ruined. But that's the only way a sword is born. That's the only way strength becomes real. That's what pain has been for you. You thought you were being destroyed, but you were being forged. The heat, the hammer, the fire, it wasn't the end of you. It was the start of the strongest version of you. And I know the questions that creep in when you're still standing in that fire. Why me? Why do I always have to suffer? Why do they get away with it while I'm left broken? These questions echo in your chest like thunder, making you believe there's no way out. You fear that pain means punishment, that maybe you're cursed, that maybe you really are weak. That's the fear pain plants inside of you, that you deserve it, that you can't rise above it. But listen carefully. Pain is not evidence of weakness. Pain is evidence of possibility. If you were truly weak, you would have been gone already. But look at you. You're still here, still breathing, still searching, still listening. That alone is proof that pain hasn't destroyed you. It's prepared you. Seneca wrote, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body." Think about that. Nobody gets stronger lying on the couch. Muscles don't grow without weight. Strength doesn't come without resistance. So why do we believe that life should be easy, painless, smooth? That's the lie. Life doesn't hand you growth wrapped in comfort. It hands you growth wrapped in pain, and you either unwrap it or you stay small. The truth is, pain exposes illusions. Every insult you swallowed became proof that their words don't define you. Every betrayal became proof that your trust must be earned, not blindly given. Every loss became proof that your worth isn't measured by who stays, but by how you rise. Without pain, you would still be naive, still chained to false promises, still begging for approval that was never yours to begin with. Pain opened your eyes, and once your eyes are open, my friends, you can never see the world the same again. But let's be honest, rising from pain isn't easy. It's messy, it's hard. It feels like trying to run with weights tied to your chest. Some days, it feels like drowning in your own memories. And that's why most people stay stuck. They confuse difficulty with impossibility. They think, if it's this hard, maybe I'm not strong enough. But difficulty doesn't mean you can't. It means you must. That's why so few people rise from the ashes, because rising requires fighting through the weight, not waiting for it to disappear. Let me give you another picture. Imagine a diamond. To the naked eye, it starts as an unremarkable piece of carbon. It looks like nothing, worthless. But under intense pressure, under heat beyond comprehension, it transforms into the hardest substance on earth. That's you. Right now, maybe you feel like coal, dark, ordinary, overlooked. But the pressure you've endured is the very thing turning you into something unbreakable. They saw you as coal. They treated you like coal. But one day, they will see the diamond you became under the weight they tried to use against you. This is why the Stoics saw pain differently from the rest of the world. They didn't run from it, didn't curse it, didn't collapse under it. They saw pain as a teacher. Epictetus said, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." You can't control what was done to you. You can't erase the scars or pretend the betrayals never happened. But you can decide how you carry them. Will you let them weigh you down? Or will you let them build your backbone? So here's the shift I want you to make today. Stop asking why pain came. Start asking what pain came to teach. Stop saying, "This broke me," and start saying, "This built me." The minute you change the question, you change the direction of your life. And here's the motivational truth I need you to carve into your mind. Pain is not your prison. Pain is your forge. Without it, you would still be asleep. With it, you are awakening. They taught you pain, yes, but now it's your turn to teach them regret. Not through revenge, not through shouting, but through thriving so unapologetically that your very existence becomes the evidence of their failure. So write it down in the comments. Show yourself. Show the world. Pain is my teacher. Say it, believe it, live it. Because the moment you declare it, the moment you claim that truth, you break free from the script they gave you. Stay with me, because what comes next will show you how to turn this sharpness into your greatest strength. Number 2, broken doesn't mean weak, it means sharp. Out of suffering have emerged the strongest souls. The most massive characters are seared with scars. That's not just a line, it's a reality check, my friends. We live in a world that tells us brokenness is a final sentence. Society whispers, if you're cracked, you're useless. If you're shattered, you're finished. But let me break that illusion wide open right now. Broken doesn't mean weak. Broken means sharp. Broken means you've entered a dimension of awareness, resilience, and clarity that the comfortable will never understand. Think about glass for a second. Whole glass is smooth, predictable, and fragile. It looks pretty in the sunlight, but drop it once, and it's gone. But shattered glass, that's dangerous. Every edge can cut, every shard can pierce through what once thought it could contain it. That's exactly what pain did to you. You thought the shattering meant the end, but all it did was change your form. You are no longer fragile. You are no longer predictable. You are sharper now, and that sharpness terrifies the people who once thought they could control you. But I know what might be circling in your mind. If I'm sharp, doesn't that mean I'm cruel? Doesn't sharpness mean I'll end up hurting others the way they hurt me? That's the trap, my friends. The false equation they want you to believe. They want you to think clarity equals cruelty, boundaries equal bitterness, and strength equals arrogance. They want you afraid of your own edge. But here's the truth. You are not cruel. You are clear. You are not bitter. You are disciplined. You are not heartless. You are finally awake. Let me put it this way. Imagine a surgeon's scalpel. In the wrong hands, it can wound, but in the right hands, that same sharpness saves lives. Sharpness is not the enemy. Misuse is. Many people who get broken stay stuck in anger. They let their sharpness lash out blindly at anyone who comes close. And what happens? They cut themselves just as much as they cut others. But the Stoic way, the disciplined way, teaches us that a sharpened edge must be guided, must be mastered. Without guidance, a broken blade harms its owner. With guidance, it becomes the most precise tool imaginable. That's where emotional intelligence comes in. Being sharp doesn't mean slicing everything in sight. It means learning to discern. It means seeing through the fake smile, the empty promise, the manipulative game before it touches you. It means drawing a line in the sand that no one can cross, not because you hate them, but because you value yourself. Brokenness gave you sight, sharpness gave you protection, and clarity gave you peace. But let's be real, stepping into this truth is difficult because deep inside, that old voice still lingers, the voice that says, if you walk away, you're selfish. If you cut people off, you're cruel. If you say no, you're unloving. That voice is not yours. It's the echo of your training, the training that taught you to bend, to serve, to silence your needs. That voice will fight you when you try to live with sharpness because it fears losing control. And here's the irony. That's exactly why you need to ignore it. Seneca said, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body." Think of every betrayal, every insult, every abandonment as weight on a barbell. Each repetition tore something inside of you, but that tearing didn't destroy you. It rebuilt you. Pain is resistance training for the soul. You lift, you struggle, you shake, you want to quit. But when you push through, when you endure, you come out with strength no one can deny. Let me give you a metaphor to hold on to. Imagine pottery that's been broken. In Japanese culture, there's a practice called kintsugi, the art of repairing cracks with gold. Instead of hiding the break, they highlight it. The fractures become the most beautiful part of the piece. That's you. Your cracks don't erase your value. They amplify it. They remind you that you survived what should have ended you. They make you unique, one of a kind, untouchable. Now let's address the fear. Why is it so hard to accept this sharpness? Why do so many stay dull, pretending they were never broken? Because sharpness isolates. Sharpness forces people to back away who once felt comfortable taking advantage of you, and that loneliness feels heavy at first. But my friends, loneliness is just the detox phase. It's the clearing of the room so the right people can finally enter. Better to be alone and sharp than surrounded and dull, being cut down by people who never cared for you. Marcus Aurelius once reminded himself, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." What does that mean here? It means the pain of brokenness is not in the shattering itself, it's in the meaning you attach to it. If you say, "I'm broken, therefore I'm worthless," you will live like you're worthless. But if you say, "I'm broken, therefore I'm sharper," your entire world changes. The crack didn't destroy you. The crack revealed you. And don't forget, broken people see the world more clearly. The naive are fooled by masks, sweet words and shallow intentions. The broken? We can smell a lie before it's spoken. We can sense manipulation before it arrives. We've lived through storms, so we know the sound of thunder even when the sky looks calm. That's not paranoia. It's awareness. That's not fear. It's foresight. And that foresight protects your peace like nothing else can. Now, what does rising from brokenness look like? It looks like no longer letting anyone define you. It looks like saying no without guilt. It looks like drawing a line and sticking to it. It looks like refusing to explain yourself to people who already decided not to understand you. And it looks like moving through life not with bitterness, but with unshakable calm. Brokenness gave you sharpness. Sharpness gave you clarity. And clarity gives you freedom. So here's your motivational truth. You are not broken beyond repair. You are broken into shape. Every scar is your signature. Every crack is your certificate of survival. Every edge is proof that you can cut through illusions others still drown in. They thought breaking you meant ending you. But broken things, forged in fire, become sharper than steel. Now let's seal this with action. Drop it in the comments right now. I am sharp. Show yourself. Show the world. Let it echo. Because when you declare it, you claim it. And the next time someone tries to hand you the old script of weakness, you'll remember you are not cruel, you are clear, you are not bitter, you are disciplined, you are not broken, you are sharp, and that sharpness is your shield. Stay with me because what comes next is even more dangerous. Rage, They told you rage will destroy you, but I'm going to show you how rage, when mastered, becomes the fire that powers your rise. Number 3. Rage is fuel, discipline is the engine. He who angers you conquers you. Seneca wrote that 2,000 years ago, and my friends, those words still strike like lightning today. Rage is one of the most misunderstood forces in the human soul. They tell you it's destructive, dangerous, uncontrollable. They warn you that anger will ruin your life, make you bitter, and burn every bridge in sight. And yes, if rage is left untamed, it does exactly that. It devours you from the inside out. But here's the lie they never wanted you to discover. Rage is not poison, it's fuel. The real question is whether you waste it burning yourself alive, or you harness it to light the path ahead. Think of rage like fire. A fire in the middle of the forest, left unchecked, destroys everything in its path. It burns the trees, the soil, the wildlife, leaving behind nothing but ash and regret. But that same fire, when contained, when controlled, becomes the very thing that keeps you alive on the coldest nights. It cooks your food, forges your weapons, and keeps predators away. Fire itself isn't the enemy. It's how you use it that matters. Rage is the same. In its rawest form, it's wild, it's messy, it's overwhelming. But once you discipline it, once you master it, rage becomes power in its purest state. Now let's talk about what rage feels like inside. You know that boiling in your chest, that fire in your gut, that heat in your throat. That's not weakness, that's energy. Energy your body doesn't know where to send, so it shakes your hands, tightens your jaw, makes you want to explode. And most of us? We either release it recklessly, through shouting, fighting, breaking, or we suppress it until it corrodes us. Neither path leads to mastery. The Stoics warned us clearly, it's not the event that destroys you, it's your reaction. So the shift is this: rage doesn't have to master you. You can master rage. Picture this: a wild stallion thrashing in a pen. Untamed, it throws itself against the rails, breaks its body, and destroys everything around it. But once trained, once bridled, that same stallion can carry you further and faster than you ever dreamed possible. Rage is that horse. If you let it run wild, it will drag you through the mud and leave you broken. But if you learn to ride it, if you discipline it, it will carry you straight into victory. The difference isn't the horse, it's the rider. But here's why this is so difficult. Society has conditioned you to believe two lies. 1, that rage must always be suppressed, and 2, that rage must always be expressed. Neither is true. Suppression is a prison. Lock the fire away too long, and it burns you from the inside out. Expression without discipline is chaos. It spills out, scorches everyone, and leaves you ashamed. The truth lies in the middle. Rage must be transformed. It's not about pretending you don't feel it. It's about using it with precision. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. When rage rises, your first instinct is to react, to strike, to prove you're not weak. But what if you paused? What if, instead of exploding, you inhaled deeply, counted slowly, let the fire settle into your core? That pause is not weakness, it's strategy. Because the moment you don't give them the reaction they expect, you reclaim control. They wanted you screaming. You stayed silent. They wanted you reckless. You stayed focused. That silence terrifies them more than any shout ever could. Now let me hit you with a metaphor that might sting. Rage is like gasoline. If you spill it on the ground and light a match, you get a flash of flames, impressive but gone in seconds, leaving nothing but smoke. But if you pour that gasoline into an engine, it becomes power, it becomes movement. It becomes the very thing that propels you forward. That's the difference between people who waste their rage on revenge and those who channel their rage into growth. The first burns out, the second builds empires. History proves this over and over. The greatest revolutions, the boldest art, the deepest philosophies, they weren't born from comfort. They were born from injustice, from anger, from rage that refused to die. But here's the key. Those who changed the world didn't waste their fire screaming at the wind. They turned it into motion. They turned their pain into power, their rage into clarity, their fire into focus. So ask yourself, where have you been wasting your rage? On arguments that don't matter? On proving your worth to people who don't care? On seeking revenge that leaves you emptier than before? That's wasted fire, my friends. That's burning gasoline on the sidewalk. It looks bright for a moment, but it leaves you with nothing. Instead, pour it into your engine. Use that rage in the gym, pushing through the reps when your body wants to quit. Use it in your work, grinding longer, sharper, with more focus than anyone else. Use it in your silence, withholding the reaction they crave, letting them choke on their own expectations. Use it in your discipline, building habits so unshakable that every day becomes proof you cannot be stopped. And here's where curiosity takes us further. What happens when rage is transformed? What happens when you no longer fear it, no longer suppress it, but master it? You become untouchable, because the world can try to provoke you, but they can't control you. They can try to push your buttons, but your buttons don't respond. They can try to make you explode, but you only grow calmer, sharper, clearer. That calm terrifies them more than any outburst ever could, because calm means they've lost the last bit of control they had over you. But make no mistake, mastery doesn't mean pretending rage is gone. Rage will always visit you. Betrayal will spark it. Injustice will feed it. Disrespect will ignite it. But the difference is this: you won't let rage steer your life. You'll ride it, you'll bridle it, you'll direct it exactly where you want it to go. And when you do, rage becomes transformation. It becomes the energy that fuels your growth, the fire that forges your discipline, the power that carries you further than you ever thought possible. So here's the truth, my friends. Rage is not your downfall. Rage is your energy source. Left unchecked, it destroys. Transformed, it builds. The choice is yours. Waste it proving a point, or invest it building a life. Waste it screaming at the wind, or channel it into silence so loud they can't stand it. Waste it chasing revenge, or use it to build something so great they'll regret ever doubting you. This is the shift. This is the discipline. This is the mastery. And when you step into it, you don't just rise, you terrify the very people who once tried to break you, because they realize the fire they sparked in you did not consume you, it became your wings. So type it in the comments right now. Show yourself, show the world. Rage fuels my rise. Claim it, own it, live it. Because when you master rage, you master yourself. And when you master yourself, you become untouchable. Stay with me. Because what comes next is the architecture of peace, the boundaries that will protect the empire your fire is about to build. Number 4, boundaries, the architecture of peace. Love yourself enough to set boundaries. Your time and energy are precious. You teach people how to treat you by deciding what you will and won't accept. That's a quote from Anna Taylor. But, my friends, it carries the exact spirit of Stoicism. Boundaries are not cruelty. Boundaries are not arrogance. Boundaries are architecture, the walls, the gates, and the foundation of your peace. Without them, your life is like an open field where anyone can trample, take, and tear apart what you've built. With them, your life becomes a fortress, clear, ordered, and untouchable. Now, let's be real. For most of us, boundaries are the hardest thing to set because we were never taught how. Instead, we were trained to bend, to give, to explain, to say yes when our soul was screaming no. We were told that saying no meant being selfish. We were told that cutting people off meant being cruel. We were told that protecting our peace meant we didn't care enough about others. That was the script, wasn't it? And we followed it, didn't we? We let people walk in and out of our lives as if our hearts were revolving doors. We let their expectations become our obligations. We let their chaos become our normal. But let's break that lie right now. Boundaries do not make you cold. They make you clear. Boundaries do not mean you lack compassion. They mean you finally have compassion for yourself. Boundaries do not destroy relationships. They reveal who was never truly there for you in the first place, the ones who leave when you draw a line. They were only there because you had none. Imagine your life as a castle. Without walls, without gates, without guards, anyone can walk in, take what they want, and leave you in ruins. And the saddest part? You'd blame yourself for not being enough. But when you build walls, when you guard your gates, when you decide who enters and who doesn't, you stop being a victim and start being a sovereign. And a sovereign doesn't beg for peace. A sovereign builds it. Marcus Aurelius once reminded himself, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. That's boundaries in motion. The moment you stop letting external chaos dictate your inner calm, you reclaim your power. You decide what comes in, you decide what gets filtered out, and you realize most of what once consumed you was never worthy of your energy in the first place. But why is it so hard to build these walls? Because guilt sneaks in. That little voice whispers, "You're being too harsh. You're pushing people away. You're going to end up alone." My friends, hear me clearly. Guilt is the chain your past uses to keep you open to abuse. Guilt is the trick toxic people play to keep their access to your soul. But boundaries are not about pushing everyone away. They're about filtering everyone correctly. Boundaries are gates, not prisons. They don't lock you in. They protect you from being robbed blind. Think of it like this. When a king builds a castle, he doesn't keep the doors wide open for invaders. He doesn't let thieves or liars waltz in and sit at the table. He opens the gate only for those who've proven themselves worthy. That's how you must treat your life. Your time, your energy, your mind, your heart. These are treasures. Stop giving them away like they're scraps. Not everyone deserves access to you. Not everyone has earned a seat at your table. And here's the beautiful paradox. The moment you draw a line, the world will test it. People will push. They'll guilt trip. They'll accuse you of changing, of being heartless, of being too much. That's how you'll know you're doing it right, because boundaries expose entitlement. They reveal who only loved you when you were easy to exploit. They show who respected you and who only respected your compliance. And though it hurts at first, that truth is freedom. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Boundaries are self-mastery in action. They are proof that you no longer live for applause, permission, or validation. You live for clarity. You live for discipline. You live for peace. You stop explaining your decisions to people who never had your best interest at heart. You stop apologizing for protecting your energy. You stop opening doors that should have been closed years ago. But let's dig into why boundaries are so necessary. Without them, you become exhausted. You carry everyone's weight but your own. You say yes to things that drain you, and you say no to the things that build you. You burn out, you collapse, and you wonder why life feels so heavy. The truth is, you were never weak. You were boundaryless. You gave yourself away in pieces until there was nothing left. With boundaries, everything changes. You start to see who belongs in your life and who doesn't. You notice how peaceful your days become when drama no longer has a key to your door. You see your energy rise when you're no longer carrying burdens that aren't yours. You feel lighter, stronger, sharper. And the best part, people start to respect you more, because respect always follows clarity. But make no mistake, this journey won't be easy. Building boundaries feels like breaking old habits, because that's exactly what it is. It feels lonely at first, because the wrong people will leave. It feels heavy because you'll second-guess yourself. But remember, discomfort is not a sign you're wrong, it's a sign you're growing. Growth always feels awkward before it feels powerful. So let's get practical. Boundaries sound good in theory, but how do you live them? Start with the 4 gates: your time, your body, your money, and your mind. No access to these without alignment to your values. That means, if they don't respect your time, they don't deserve your presence. If they don't honor your body, they don't deserve your closeness. If they drain your money, they don't deserve your support. If they pollute your mind, they don't deserve your attention. Your gates are guarded by your values, and your values don't move. People can beg, they can cry, they can accuse, but the gate only opens for those who align. That's not cruelty, that's clarity. So here's the motivational truth. You are not cruel for protecting your peace. You are not selfish for saying no. You are not heartless for closing doors. You are wise. You are disciplined. You are sovereign. And your peace is worth every wall you build, every gate you guard, every line you refuse to erase. Now let's carve this into our hearts. Drop it in the comments. Show yourself, show the world. My peace is protected. Say it, claim it, because once you do, no one will ever again mistake your kindness for weakness. Stay with me, my friends, because what comes next is rebellion at its purest form, survival itself. They thought breathing was defeat, but I'll show you why survival is defiance, and why every heartbeat you take is proof they never won. Number 5. Survival as rebellion. The greater the difficulty, the more glory in surmounting it. Epictetus said that, and my friends, those words should echo deep in your chest, because what they never told you is this: your survival itself is rebellion. Every single day you wake up, every single breath you take, every step you choose to move forward is an act of defiance against the very people, the very forces that thought they had finished you. They wanted your silence to mean surrender, your scars to mean defeat, your pain to mean the end. But survival spits in their face. Survival screams louder than any revenge ever could. I am still here. Let's paint the picture. Imagine a boxer in the ring. He's taken hit after hit. His body is bruised, his vision blurred, his legs trembling. Everyone in the crowd whispers, "He's done." The opponent smirks. Certain victory is seconds away. But then the bell rings, and guess what? He stands back up. He may not even swing yet, but the act of standing tells the whole world, this fight is not over. That's you. Your survival is your standing. And the truth is, it terrifies them more than a knockout punch ever could, because it means their cruelty wasn't enough, their betrayal wasn't final, their abandonment didn't bury you. But let's be honest, survival doesn't always feel glorious. Sometimes it feels like crawling through mud with no finish line in sight. Sometimes it feels like dragging your body through days that blur together, nights where sleep won't come, mornings where you question if it's even worth it. You've been there, haven't you? You've felt that heavy weight pressing on your chest, whispering it would be easier to stop. And yet, you didn't. You're still here. And that choice, that decision to keep breathing, that refusal to vanish, is rebellion in its purest form. The lie you were taught is that survival is weakness, that it's something pathetic, something shameful. You've heard it. You're just surviving, not living. But let me break that lie. Survival is not the absence of living, it's the foundation of it. You cannot thrive until you survive. You cannot rise until you endure. Survival is the soil from which thriving grows. Without it, there is nothing. With it, there is possibility. Think of a seed once again. Buried deep underground, pressed down by layers of dirt, it doesn't look alive. It doesn't look powerful. But beneath the surface, in the darkness, something is happening. Roots are forming. Strength is building. The seed is surviving before it ever bursts into the light. That's you. Your survival in the dark seasons was not failure. It was preparation. Without it, you would never have the roots strong enough to sustain your future growth. And here's the paradox. They mock survival because they don't understand it. They think power is loud, flashy, obvious. They think survival is small, fragile, desperate, but they've never lived through real storms. The people who have, the ones who've seen nights so dark they didn't think dawn would come, know the truth. Surviving those nights is the deepest act of power, because it proves that nothing, not cruelty, not betrayal, not loss, could extinguish your flame. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. What does this mean in survival? It means that even when life takes your peace, your trust, your comfort, it cannot touch your inner decision to endure. Survival is not about controlling the storm outside. It's about anchoring your mind inside. When you keep moving, even with trembling legs, you are saying, my will is stronger than what tried to end me. But I know the doubts you've battled. If I'm only surviving, am I really winning? If I still feel broken, does survival even matter? If thriving feels far away, is there any point? These questions eat at you because you measure your worth by how strong you look, by how smooth your life seems. But hear me clearly, survival is victory. Every scar you carry is not evidence of defeat. It's evidence you endured what should have ended you. You survived nights they couldn't have survived. You bore storms they would have drowned in. That alone is power. Let me give you another metaphor. Think of a fortress under siege, arrows raining down, walls shaking, enemies pounding at the gates. And yet, when the dust settles, the fortress still stands. Maybe cracked, maybe battered, but standing. That fortress is feared, not pitied, because it withstood what should have brought it down. That's you. You are the fortress, and survival has become your defiance. Now, here's where the shift happens. Survival is not the end game. It's the beginning. The mistake many people make is staying stuck in survival mode, never moving beyond it. They wear survival like a badge, but never let it transform into thriving. Don't stop at endurance. Use survival as your springboard. Every time you've chosen to keep going, you've been building a foundation. Now it's time to build on it. Survival proves you cannot be destroyed. Thriving proves you cannot be stopped. But never underestimate the psychological power survival already has on those who tried to break you. Every day you wake up, you are their mirror. You reflect back their failure. You remind them of their weakness. They see that their cruelty wasn't enough and that regret begins to gnaw at them. Your survival becomes their punishment, because regret doesn't shout. It whispers in the dark, you failed, you lost, they survived you. So, my friends, never curse your survival. Never look down on it. Never call it weakness. It is your rebellion. It is your roar. It is your middle finger to every enemy who thought you'd collapse. And every scar you carry, that's not shame, that's armor. That's proof you endured, proof you are untouchable. And let's anchor this with truth. Survival is not passive. It's not lying down and letting time pass. Survival is active warfare. It's saying no to the voices that want you gone. It's standing up again when everything inside screams, stay down. It's choosing discipline when despair whispers, give up. And every time you choose survival, you grow stronger. Every time you refuse to quit, you step closer to thriving. Here's your motivational charge. Never underestimate the rebellion of simply staying alive. Never let anyone tell you survival is small. Survival is defiance. Survival is sovereignty. Survival is the foundation of your empire, and from here you rise. So I want you to write it right now in the comments. Show yourself, show the world. My survival is rebellion. Type it, own it, declare it. Because the moment you claim it, you stop seeing survival as shame and start seeing it as your crown. Stay with me, because next we'll step into something even greater. Thriving. Survival proved they couldn't end you. Thriving will prove they can never touch you. Number 6. Thriving. The quiet punishment. The best revenge is not to be like your enemy. Marcus Aurelius left us that truth. And folks, it hits harder the more life has tried to break you. Because thriving, really thriving, is the kind of vengeance they can't escape. Not loud revenge, not messy payback. Thriving is silent. Thriving is calm. Thriving is radiant. It doesn't scream. It doesn't argue. It doesn't need to prove itself. Thriving is punishment delivered without you lifting a finger. And the beauty of it? Life itself does the work for you. Think about this. When they hurt you, they expected your destruction. They expected you to stay small, to stay bitter, to stay broken. They thought you'd waste your life trying to win arguments, prove your worth, and beg for their recognition. But thriving flips that entire script. Thriving says, I've moved on so far that you don't even exist in my story anymore. And that's what drives regret deepest into their soul, the realization that their cruelty was powerless to keep you down. Imagine a bird in a cage, its wings clipped, its body bruised, its freedom stolen. That was you once, trapped by their manipulation, locked in by their betrayal, starved of the love you deserved. They thought that cage was permanent. They thought you'd never leave. But one day, the door cracked open, maybe just a little, and instead of staying in your prison, you spread your wings. And now? You're soaring. Your flight itself is revenge. You're not flying to prove them wrong. You're flying because that's what birds are made to do. And seeing you in the sky when they tried to break your wings, that's the punishment they can't handle. Here's the lie most of us grew up with. Success, peace, joy, all of it requires someone else's permission. We were told that unless people approve, unless they clap, unless they validate us, we can't really thrive. That's nonsense. Thriving has nothing to do with their applause. It has everything to do with your choices, your discipline, your refusal to stay chained. Thriving begins the moment you stop waiting for their apology, their closure, their recognition. It begins when you realize, I don't need them to set me free. I set myself free. Epictetus said, freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. What does that mean here? It means your thriving doesn't depend on their regret, their guilt, or their shame. It doesn't depend on whether they see your worth now or still refuse to acknowledge it. Thriving is about you living fully, freely, intentionally, without a care for whether they're watching. That's why it's punishment. Because when you thrive, you make their cruelty irrelevant. You erase their power. You live as if they never existed, and that realization breaks them more than anything you could ever say. Now, thriving doesn't always look like fireworks. It doesn't have to be flashy cars, big houses, or loud achievements. Thriving is simpler, more powerful. Thriving is peace when they expected chaos. Thriving is joy when they wanted misery. Thriving is discipline when they thought you'd spiral. Thriving is being so rooted in self-worth that nothing external can shake you. It's about building a life where their name doesn't even cross your mind anymore. But let's admit something. Getting to this point isn't easy. Thriving requires you to shed the old skin of victimhood. It requires you to silence the voice that whispers, "Show them. Prove to them you're winning." That voice feels satisfying in the moment, but it's a trap. Because the moment you start living just to prove them wrong, they still own you. They still dictate your story. True thriving means forgetting about proving anything at all. True thriving means you've outgrown the battlefield entirely. They're still swinging swords in a war that ended years ago, while you're building empires on new ground. Think of it like a garden. When you're caught in survival, you're pulling weeds, protecting the soil, making sure nothing poisons the roots. But thriving? Thriving is when the flowers bloom, when the fruit grows, when the beauty becomes undeniable. And the people who once tried to salt your soil, they have to stand there, powerless, watching you blossom anyway. That's the quiet punishment of thriving. Here's another truth. Thriving is contagious. When you step into your power, when you live with clarity and discipline, the right people are drawn to you. Healthy people, loyal people, people who see your worth without you having to beg for it. That's another layer of punishment. They realize they are forgotten, replaced, irrelevant. The attention they once abused now belongs to people who deserve it. And nothing cuts deeper than irrelevance. But maybe you're thinking, I'm not there yet. I'm still in survival. I don't feel like I'm thriving. That's okay. Thriving is not about perfection. It's not about feeling happy every second. Thriving is about direction. It's about planting the seeds every day. Discipline, focus, peace, and trusting that over time, those seeds grow into the life you deserve. The fact that you're listening, the fact that you're searching for truth, means you've already stepped out of the cage. Thriving is a process, and you are already walking it. Marcus Aurelius said, "It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live." That's the essence of thriving. You're not here just to survive, just to breathe, just to drag yourself through another day. You're here to live, to begin again. To live in such a way that you wake up in the morning not with dread, but with purpose. That's thriving, choosing life fully, even after pain tried to convince you otherwise. So how do you know when you're thriving? It's when silence feels like strength, not emptiness. It's when your boundaries no longer feel like walls, but like gates to your peace. It's when you stop chasing and start attracting. It's when you stand in a room needing nothing from anyone, and yet everything about you radiates confidence. Thriving isn't something you announce. It's something people can't help but notice. And here's the most powerful part. Thriving makes them regret, but you won't even notice. Because by the time regret eats them alive, you'll be too far ahead. You'll be too busy living, building, laughing, loving. Their opinion becomes background noise. Their regret becomes their prison. And you are free. You are flying. You are thriving. So let's lock this in with a truth and an action. Thriving is not about them. It's about you. Thriving is not about revenge. It's about freedom. Thriving is not about noise, it's about peace. And peace, my friends, is priceless. Type it in the comments right now. Declare it, show it to yourself, show it to the world. I am thriving. Let it echo in your mind every time you doubt. Say it when you wake up. Say it when you're tempted to go back to old patterns. Say it when you wonder if the pain was worth it. Because thriving is your answer. Thriving is your proof. Thriving is your quiet punishment, and it will echo louder than any scream. Stay with me, because if thriving is the punishment, what comes next is the haunting. Your silence, your absence, your ghost, those will follow them forever. And that, my friends, is power. Number 7. The ghost effect, presence through absence. The best way of avenging yourself is not to become like the wrongdoer. Marcus Aurelius wrote that line, and my friends, it's the perfect doorway into this truth. Sometimes the most devastating presence is absence. Sometimes the loudest scream is silence. Sometimes the sharpest blade is no blade at all, just the haunting reminder of what they lost and can never get back. You. Let's talk about ghosts. Ghosts don't argue. They don't scream. They don't beg. They don't even have to show themselves directly. They linger. They appear when the room gets quiet, when the lights go out, when the mind is finally alone. That's what your absence becomes. You don't chase them. You don't stalk them. You don't even waste energy trying to make them regret. You simply live. And your silence, your peace, your discipline does the haunting for you. Imagine this. Once upon a time, they fed on your reactions. They provoked you just to watch you explode. They thrived on your tears, your begging, your confusion. You were their supply, their entertainment, their validation. But when you went silent, when you closed the door, when you disappeared, they were left with nothing but themselves. No drama, no fuel, no stage. And without your energy, their act collapsed. That's why silence terrifies people like them. Because predators can't perform without an audience, and you walked away from the show. This is where the mirror effect begins. Psychologists call it projection when people throw their darkness onto you. But once you step back, once you refuse to reflect it anymore, they're forced to see themselves. And what they see burns. They see their cruelty. They see their failure. They see their weakness. And every time your name crosses their mind, every time someone mentions you, every time they glimpse your thriving from a distance, the ghost appears. Not because you're chasing them, not because you're trying, but because life itself won't let them escape the consequences. Here's the paradox. You don't even have to be in the room to be present. Your absence becomes everywhere. You've seen this play out, haven't you? The more silent you become, the more they talk about you. The less you give them, the more desperate they grow. The more distance you create, the more they feel your shadow. That's the haunting. You stopped playing their game, and suddenly they can't stop playing yours. But let's be clear. Being a ghost doesn't mean you're stuck in the past. It doesn't mean you're wandering the ruins of what happened, reliving every betrayal. No. Being a ghost means you've ascended so far above the battlefield that your existence itself becomes their torment. You're not holding on to them. They're holding on to you. They carry you, not as love, not as friendship, but as regret. And regret, my friends, is a prison with no escape. Seneca said, "A good character, when established, is not easily overthrown." That's what your ghost is. The character you forged in fire, the discipline you built in silence, the peace you carved out through boundaries, these things are indestructible. They can slander your name, they can spread lies, they can twist the story. But deep down, they can't erase the truth of who you've become. And the more they try to forget, the deeper the memory cuts. That's the power of haunting. It grows heavier the more they resist it. Think of it like this. You're not chasing them anymore, but they still feel chased. You're not watching them, but they still feel watched. You're not punishing them, but they still feel punished. Why? Because their own conscience is the executioner. You are simply the proof. The scar they gave you is the scar they now carry in their soul. Every time they see someone thriving who they once tried to destroy, the ghost stirs. And if it's you, if it's the person they underestimated, betrayed, laughed at, discarded, that ghost becomes unbearable. Now you might wonder, why does this matter for me? Why should I even care if they're haunted? Here's the truth, you shouldn't. The haunting is not your responsibility. The regret is not your work. Your focus is not on their torment, it's on your freedom. You don't live to punish them, you live to build you. The ghost effect is simply the natural consequence of your decision to rise. But there's something important here. Being a ghost doesn't mean you live bitter, isolated, angry. It doesn't mean you spend your days thinking about them, waiting for them to suffer. That's still giving them too much power. No, being a ghost means you're untouchable. It means your life moves on so completely, so fully, that their attempts to reach you bounce off the walls of the fortress you've built. You live in peace while they live in replay. You're free while they're chained. You're light while they're shadow. Let me give you a metaphor that might stay with you. Think of a shadow on the wall. The shadow cannot exist without the light. But the light doesn't need the shadow. You are the light now. They are the shadow. They only exist in relation to what you've become, and that realization is their regret. So here's where we close this chapter. They thought breaking you would erase you. Instead, it multiplied you. They thought silence meant weakness. Instead, it became your strategy. They thought absence meant defeat. Instead, it became your power. And now, your very existence is their haunting. Not because you're stuck on them, but because they're stuck on you. That's the irony. That's the justice. That's the quiet revenge they can't outrun. My friends, never underestimate the power of silence. Never undervalue the strength of absence. When you stop giving access, when you stop feeding the chaos, when you step back and build your empire, you become untouchable. You become the ghost they carry forever. And the best part? You don't even notice, because you're too busy living. So here's your final action. If this message resonated with you, declare it right now in the comments. I am untouchable. Write it, claim it, show it to yourself and the world. Because when you say it, when you own it, you step into the reality that silence is your weapon, absence is your armor, and thriving is your haunting. Press that like button, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs to hear it today. Because this isn't just about you, it's about everyone who was ever told that silence was weakness. Together we rise. Together we thrive. Together we become the storm they can never escape. And remember, pain was never the end. Pain was the beginning. Your silence is not defeat. It is your victory. Your absence is not weakness. It is your crown. And your life, calm, disciplined, unstoppable, is the ghost they will never outrun.